Hey guys, Matt here. So today I'm going to be reviewing the original Dragon Ball Z trilogy of Broly movies. Now, Broly originally was the Legendary Super Saiyan, and he was definitely a force to be reckoned with. Last year, when the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie came out, I thought it was amazing, and one of the best things the Dragon Ball universe has ever created. But as I was watching the movie, I kept remembering and reflecting on the original film, pointing out the differences in my head, and I really couldn't decide if I liked the new one because it was so different from the original. Well, I was feeling nostalgic, so I decided to go back and revisit the original trilogy, and let's just say that now that I'm older, I see things a whole lot differently. I'm going to be reviewing the movies individually, giving a brief plot synopsis and then my overall review. Now be warned, these movies have been out since the early 90s, so spoilers ahead. First off, Brawley, the Legendary Super Saiyan. This movie starts out on Earth, where this ship arrives and a bunch of soldiers come out and they address Vegeta, telling him that they've colonized a new planet and they're calling it New Vegeta. The Saiyan race wants to be reborn and rebuilt, and so they want him as their leader. And he jumps at this chance, because ever since his father passed away and their planet Vegeta was destroyed, he wasn't able to take on that mantle of leader and ruler. So this excites him. He takes on the mantle of this authoritative figure, able to boss people around very quickly. But other Z fighters, including Goku, Gohan, and Trunks, follow suit as well. And when they get to this new planet, Paragus, Broly's father, tells Vegeta that they've located the Legendary Super Saiyan and they're scouting the universe looking for him, but to no avail. Meanwhile, Trunks and Gohan, they're suspicious of this new planet and these new people, so they start to investigate. And soon they find out that things are not what they seem. Paragus is Broly's father, and Broly is this big subservient individual that every time he sees Goku, he starts getting a little mad. And it's revealed that he's mad because when Goku and him were children on Vegeta, Goku cried a lot. And Broly was located right next to him. This drove Broly insane, and so he wanted revenge. Every time he sees Goku, he just thinks of this crying child and just wants to kill him. But every time he gets out of control, Paragus has this device on his wrist that's able to control Broly and keep him at bay. Well, this device soon breaks. Broly flips out, goes Super Saiyan. Vegeta can't believe this. And that's one downside of this movie, is that Vegeta, once he finds out who Broly is, he's just in such shock that he doesn't do anything. He doesn't even try to fight, even when he's literally pushed and shoved and slapped around by other Z fighters to participate. He doesn't. He's so scared. And it's very unlike Vegeta. So then you have Goku, Trunks, Gohan, and even a couple other characters. They try to fight Broly, but if you've noticed a pattern with the Dragon Ball Z movies, it's that the more Z fighters there are, that means the majority of them are going to be useless, because usually Goku comes in and he pulls out a win and saves the day. Now, these Broly movies, just like the other Dragon Ball Z movies, carry a pattern. Pattern with this first movie is that Goku's one that saves the day. Now, a big downside of this movie is that the way it ends. The way it ends is the Z Fighters eventually give Goku all of their strength, kind of like a spirit bomb, but it comes off as like this green aura energy thing. Goku gets one good uppercut or stomach punch. It's not really clear because they kind of retcon it in the second movie. Anyways, Broly's defeated. That's it. That's your fight. It's not really epic, and it's not as good as we remember when we were kids. So because of that, because you had this interesting concept, they finally revealed the Legendary Super Saiyan, but it ended up being underwhelming. I'm going to give Broly, the Legendary Super Saiyan, a B-. I liked the cast of characters they had in this movie, but the way they ended the fight was a little disappointing, because Broly was wrecking shop the entire time. And if you don't know, the Dragon Ball Z movies are not canon, and there's been some debate as to where they fit inside the Dragon Ball Z timeline. Do they take place after Cell? Do they take place during the year that Cell gave the Z Fighters to train? Most of them take place after Namek, because there's a lot of Super Saiyans. The second movie up is Brawley Second Coming. Now, don't get your hopes up, because the cover of this movie and the back cover of the third movie are misleading, unfortunately. So the plot of the second film is Brawley somehow survived, is in a Saiyan pod that crash lands on Earth. And he crash lands in this ice and he freezes over. Now this movie takes place 7 years after the first film. Now Trunks, Goten, and Videl are searching for the Dragon Balls. They have 6 of them, and they come upon this small village where these villagers are scared of the so-called giant monster. So what happens is Trunks and Goten get into an argument. Goten starts crying. This crying somehow reverberates and awakens Broly from his slumber. So, Brawley, he sees Goten, who's a small version of Goku, who he can't mistake the two because they look identical. So does Brawley, this bloodthirsty, crazy Super Saiyan, kill these kids? No, of course not. Because the second and third film are directed towards kids. So he seemingly toys with them. And when I say that, I don't mean Raccoon toying with Vegeta, kind of making these witty quips and just, throwing him back and forth like a rag doll, knowing he could kill him but doesn't. He just doesn't try with these kids. Now I get it. It's aimed towards kids. But Brawley just isn't the same character he was in the first movie. He's not even as big. He barely speaks. He says Kakarot 3, maybe 4 times in the entire movie. It's a real waste of Vic Mignogna's voice acting because Brawley doesn't come off the same. He doesn't come off as scary. Yeah, he's tall and bigger than these kids, but that's it. And then you get an appearance from Gohan, which is cool because it's nice to see this version of Gohan go up against Broly. But that's it. The only... And there's a cop-out in the third act with the Dragon Balls and another character which just will make you angry. The only redeeming quality in this movie is in the third act. There's a triple Kamehameha that's really cool and had me go, oh man, why couldn't they put that kind of effort and care into the movie? Yes, Brawley still has his green orb attacks, which are neat to look at, but this is probably one of the worst sequels of any movie ever. So because of that, I'm going to give Brawley Second Coming a C-. It has some qualities, but overall, it's real disappointing. The third movie up is Bio Brawly. This is the third movie in the trilogy. The plot of this film is Hercule, Mr. Satan, and Android 17 are having a discussion because Hercule owes 17 money for the botch or the ending of the tournament they were just in. And this visitor comes to visit Hercule and says, this guy you used to know in summer camp is issuing a challenge to you. And so Hercule, Android 18, and Trunks and Goten in tow go to this island where this guy named Jaguar says, hey, Hercule, I want you to challenge these beings that I've created. He's like a scientist. And he made these 4 beings in these test tubes where they look human, but they're different colors. One's red, one's green, one's blue. But he also has a secret weapon in another test tube. So they get there. 18 makes short work of these beings, and so Jaguar's unleash my other creation. And so he opens a test tube. Turns out inside is Brawley. Now, in this form, Brawley looks like he normally did, just not Super Saiyan, where he's, in the incubation chamber, he's a naked guy with a tail. Trunks and Goten are able to identify who he is, and they get real scared because they know the hell he can unleash. But then when Brawley gets out of the tube, this goo is released, and it covers him in this green stuff that turns him into Swamp Thing. And he looks ridiculous. The only thing you see of Brawley is his red eyes and a couple strands of his hair stick out. And he just looks real dumb. Not only does he escape the tube and he's covered in this green stuff, but also this purple lava acid type stuff gets out and starts leaking all over this laboratory. And it starts going all over the island and it starts killing things and destroying things. And so now you have 2 threats. You have Bio Brawley, and then you have this purple goo. So Brawley fights Trunks and Goten for the majority of the movie, yet they're not able to do any damage until they start working together in unison. This was a cool part of the movie because they were attacking in sync. They were punching in sync, and that seemed to do something to Brawley. Not a whole lot, mind you, but it tended to keep him busy. And then you have other fighters show up. You have 18 there. You have Hercule doing nothing. And then you have Krillin show up, but, poor Krillin now in the series is just fodder, and he's useless. And so not a whole lot happens. And then they beat Brawley in a way that makes you go, that's not the end. Right? Wait, what? Don't... it leaves you speechless, because the Brawley we've seen in the other movies, he's not here. You get muscular Swamp Thing, and you get Brawley's green attacks again, which are, again, cool to look at, but So then, they defeat Brawley, and then they're able to save the island. And that's another thing that, if you notice about the DBZ movies, these tropes, is you have, Dragon Balls, or you have innocents that are in danger that have to be saved, as well as the, main threat, main bad guy. And that's it. And then you have a scene at the very end of the third act, involving Brawley and, let's say, our favorite Z fighter, and it just, nothing happens with it. They could have made, a little bit of the movie, this final scene involving Brawley and Goku, but we don't get it. So we're left disappointed. The story's disappointing, and it's just really sad that Brawley, the legendary Super Saiyan, went out with a whimper instead of a bang. That's why I'm really glad we got that movie. So because of that, I'm going to give Bio Brawley a D. Overall, as far as the trilogy goes, I got to give it a C. It doesn't hold up. And that's the downside to nostalgia. Is you think as your kids, things are better, greater, loud and cooler. But then when you grow up, you're like, I was a kid. So, there we go, guys. If you want me to review more Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z stuff, I'll do so, because I'm a huge fan of the franchise. So until next time, guys, see ya.